Imagine building a farm in Unreal Engine where every element is completely flexible and can be changed instantly. Let me show you how. Hi everyone! In this tutorial from our PCG series, we're going to quickly create farmland terrain using one of the fastest workflows. First, make sure to enable the PCG plugin and the Landscape Patch plugin. Now we'll create our first blueprint and name it Patch. Now I need to add a landscape texture patch. You can place it in the scene, but it won't do anything yet because we haven't assigned anything to it. So, go to the height patch settings and set it to use a texture asset. Once you assign a texture, you'll notice that the red preview area begins to affect the landscape and shapes that region based on the texture. Now let's say we have a black and white texture like this. We import it into Unreal and assign it to our patch. And yes, as you can see, this immediately creates the grooves and patterns of farmland across the landscape. Now it's time to create a PCG system for our terrain. First, we want to create a spline blueprint so we can assign our patch instances to it. So, create a new blueprint and add a spline component to it. Then, in the class defaults panel, search for tags and add your custom tag to it. After that, just save the blueprint. Now open your PCG Graph and add a Get Spline data node. Next, set it to World Actor Mode and assign the spline tag we created earlier. Now, we add a spline sampler, which will generate sample points along our spline. Then we connect it to a static mesh spawner and assign a mesh to it, so we can clearly see the points being generated along the spline. Now we add the spline to the system. But as I mentioned earlier, I had accidentally used the wrong node while recording, so I want to show you why the spline didn't work at first. As you can see, the meshes are now being placed correctly along the spline. Now, instead of spawning meshes, we want to spawn our patch blueprint. So we add a spawn actor node and assign our patch blueprint to it. As you can see, it works correctly. However, we need to rotate our patch on the z-axis so that the texture lines align properly along the spline. As you can see, we can even adjust the patch points outside of the PCG system, which is really useful. I've also created a better height map to make the scene look more natural. I'll include it in the description so you can download and use it as well. Now, using the spline we created, we can start shaping our farmland. We draw 2 spline lines to define where our meshes will be placed. Then, from the spline sampler, we take its output and connect it to a transform points node. This makes sure that new points, and therefore our meshes, are correctly placed even when the terrain height changes or dips. I'm importing a pumpkin model, which is also available for you to download for free. Now we can connect the pumpkin model to our static mesh node. However, as you can see, the meshes are floating in the air. So we need to use a projection node along with get landscape data to make sure they snap down onto the ground surface. Also, to add some variation, we can adjust the values in the transform points node to randomize their placement and rotation. Now we want to increase the number of pumpkins, but only around our main points. So after the copy points node, we add a create points grid node. Make sure to set the copy points mode to absolute, so we can freely adjust the scale. Then, to introduce some randomness and avoid a uniform layout, we use density noise and density filter to vary the distribution of the points. Next, to add even more variation to the points, we use a transform points node. And to keep the meshes from overlapping, we enable self-pruning. Now we can expand our farm simply by drawing more spline paths. Just remember to enable multiply on the first get spline data node so multiple splines are supported. To make the scene more interesting, we'll create some simple wooden boards using Quixel Megascan's assets and merge them into modeling mode to form a single mesh. Then, using another blueprint, we'll add an additional spline to our PCG setup and attach the boards to it, placing the pumpkins on top of them. To keep the video from getting too long, I'll show this part at a faster speed. We'll also create a fence around the field using the same method and extend it along the spline. Of course, this step isn't required. It's just an example to help make the scene look more complete. You can always use better or more detailed meshes if you prefer. Now we want to create another spline to place trees around the farm. This time, we extend the spline by holding Alt and dragging, and then we enable Close Loop to make a closed shape. This way, the trees will be spawned only inside the area defined by this spline. I've included 3 different tree models in the project folder, and you can download them and use them in place of the sample points. You can also apply a landscape material to the environment, but I'll skip showing that here to keep the video from getting too long. However, you can check the previous tutorials on the channel where we cover how to create landscape materials in detail. From here, you can add more spline rows, or even place additional plants around the pumpkins to make the scene feel more natural. The more elements you add, the richer and more believable your environment will look. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it. Your support really helps the channel grow. See you in the next one.